XRP is trading at around 2.81 right now. On the surface, that might not look like much, but it's not making headlines like Bitcoin or pulling crazy gains like some of the smaller altcoins. But if you've been watching XRP long enough, you know that this is exactly the kind of setup where things usually start to get interesting. And I just want to make a quick note before we dive in. I keep all my XRP trades locked on BITUNIX. It's how I track my entries, my exits, and overall position without even overthinking it. Keeps me transparent and also keeps me disciplined. So if you want to check it out for yourself, I've included the link in the description. All right, so let's dive in. So let's see what's really happening with XRP. This coin has a history, as you know, and it doesn't move like most other altcoins. And instead, it actually follows this almost predictable rhythm. Long drawn out periods where the price actually goes sideways and everyone gets bored, followed by sudden explosive moves that make up for all that waiting. We've seen it again and again. In 2017, for example, XRP sat under a penny for what felt like forever. Then it exploded to over $3 in just a few months, and in 2020, after years of drifting, it broke out again and hit almost $2 in early 2021. More recently, late in 2024, XRP actually came back to life and cracked over $3 again, and right now we are back in that sideways phase. XRP has been hovering between 2.80 to 2.90 for weeks, and nothing exciting, nothing flashy. But here's the thing. In the past, that boring zone has almost always come right before the trigger moves. It's like the market is recharging, getting ready for the next leg. So if you look at the chart today, it's forming a pretty tight range. Traders would call it a pennant or a triangle, but you don't need to know technical terms to understand it as well. Price is stuck in a small box, and eventually it's going to break out of that box. So the only real question is which way? Here's how I see it myself. If XRP can break above 3.50 with strong volume, that's a sign that it's ready to run again. And in that case, $4 to $5 is not realistic at all. On the other hand, if it slips under 2.70 and can't hold that level, then we're probably heading back into the low 2 range for a while, and that would be frustrating for sure, but it wouldn't kill the bigger picture. In fact, it might even set up a stronger rally later, and this is where XRP really tests people. It's not a coin that rewards impatience, and most of the time it feels like it's going nowhere, and then it surprises everyone in one big move. And that's why so many people gave up on it in 2022 and 2023, but the pattern kept repeating. Boring stretch breakout, and it's been XRP's rhythm for nearly a decade now. The reason this matters is because cycles in crypto aren't just random noise, they actually reflect psychology. When a coin goes sideways for months, it shakes out weekends and people get tired, they sell, they stop paying attention. Then when the breakout finally comes, there are fewer sellers left to hold it back, and that's when the move gets actually very sharp. XRP has done this multiple times, and it looks like we might be in one of those patience phases again right now. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say XRP is about to moon tomorrow. That's not how this works at all. But what I will say is that the setup we are seeing right now looks very similar to what we saw before past rallies. A tight consolidation, price pressing up against resistance, and volume drying up. Historically, that's when things actually flip. So what's my plan? Honestly, it's pretty simple. I'm not rushing at all. Over 350 with good volume, that's when I would actually take it seriously as a breakout. Under 270, that's where I would actually look at as a discount, maybe even add a little bit. Until one of those happens, I'm just going to let the chart do its thing. And because with XRP, as I said, patience has always been the key. And here's the bigger picture that you need to look at. XRP doesn't just move in isolation. Bitcoin has already had its run this cycle, Ethereum made its move, and usually that flow of money trickles down into other large cap coins. XRP often lags behind, but when it does go, it tends to go very fast, and that's why watching these levels now is very important. So yeah, XRP at around 281 doesn't sound like much today, but history actually says this is exactly the kind of zone where things start to get interesting. Whether we break higher soon or dip first, the setup is actually here, and if the past is any clue, the quiet phase we're in right now won't last forever. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video.